I'd love to hear a little bit more about the Columbus Violence Reduction Fund. Can you tell us about that?
It's so important to me that a church is not just a gathering of religious people, but the catalyst. I think churches have the opportunity to be a really interesting incubator for justice movements, nonprofit work, etc. So as I was pondering this, people were emailing me from my church and saying, hey, have you looked at the homicide rates? Homicide rates went up during COVID for a variety of reasons. And in Columbus, they went up, I think, past 200 or close to 200 homicides in a year, which I don't know if it had ever been that high. And then I get an email across my desk from the city, and they said, hey, we're bringing in this evidence-based violence reduction model. And I said, okay, I want to learn more. This could be the next thing. This is called group violence intervention. It's been launched in Boston and Detroit, Miami. It's like a dozen major cities, and it's evidence-based out of the National Network for Safe Communities. I'm going to oversimplify the model, but traditional policing says we know who's most likely to commit a crime, so we'll watch and wait for them to commit a crime and then arrest them. This model says if we know who's most likely to commit a crime, what if we went and talked to them and offered to help? And that's what this model does. So the police identify people who are most likely to commit group and gang violence. And then they say, are you willing to talk to this other organization? So the police, they're the ones who identify them or whatever and say, hey, here's why you're on our radar. We know your associations, blah, blah, blah. We have an organization that'll help you. Do you want to talk to them? Most of the time they say yes. And then the organization says, hey, if you're willing to stay alive, safe, out of prison, not engage in gang and group violence, we'll help in any way you can. Well, a piece of that is we'll help you. If you want a job, if you need steel-toed boots to get that factory job, if you need to move neighborhoods because of your associations, we'll help you with down payment, whatever. Well, the city can't pay for any of that. And this is a city-run program. So part of the model is to form a nonprofit. And I was learning about it. I said, hey, we can create a fund. And our church was in the middle of a fundraising campaign anyways. So without really even telling the city, we added $6,000 to the goal for the violence reduction fund to meet them. And so next thing you know, we raised $6,000, not a lot, but something. And I reach out to the city and say, hey, we got $6,000. We'll use it for the program if you have a participant who needs something. And that's everything from bus passes to an Uber ride to an interview to steel-toed boots to we fixed car windows that have been shot out because it's their only car. Just anything that would be a barrier to taking the next step in life. Eventually, we put together a board. So it was under the church's umbrella, and now it's its own nonprofit. And we have a board of directors made up of stakeholders in the violence reduction space. It's in collaboration with the city of Columbus and the Office of Violence Prevention. We've distributed probably $12,000 to $15,000 in micro grants to participants who are connected with gang and group violence and their family members who will serve any of them in their ecosystem. Anyone they care about, we care about. If it's all done through this evidence-based program and the requests come from the intervention specialist. And so, yeah, now it's its own nonprofit and probably in a year or so, it'll stand on its own and we'll be asking the question, what do we do next?